The Female Man by Joanna Russ is a science fiction novel originally published in 1975, and it has this reputation of being quite challenging while simultaneously being very well written, and I think I would agree with that summary. And it's not necessarily challenging because of the content. It's more about the way that Joanna Russ writes this story. It's kind of about these alternate selves, these four different perspectives of these women in these alternate worlds and societies where the interactions and the roles of men and women are different. So you get these different perspectives on these other societies which are often quite different to our own. So it's almost immediately confusing because Joanna Russ will frequently flit between these different perspectives. She will jump in and out of first person and third person perspectives, as well as kind of dipping into these streams of consciousness where occasionally she will break the fourth wall and directly address the reader, sometimes challenging them in quite direct ways. Such as one chapter where she writes a fictional review or reviews where she is preempting the response to the book and some of the feminist themes, with many sections of the book being quite confronting. Sometimes it's quite funny as well, but it is difficult to grasp any one of these multiple strands and get a handle on where people are, when people are, who people are, before the last 50 pages or so get a little bit more explanatory and guide you through what's actually been occurring throughout the book. So I can't really say that I loved The Female Man. I can't even really say that I liked it. It's just not a cohesive reading experience. It is quite confusing, it is challenging, but I do think it was worth reading. Although this kind of preempting negative reviews, I don't think can cancel them out fully, because this is one that I would find really difficult to recommend to most readers, particularly most science fiction readers. But in some sense that's what made it worthwhile, because it is unlike anything I've read so far, other than possibly Ice by Anna Kavan, which is another kind of surreal, experimental and challenging book. So I don't think this style of novel is for me personally, and it's relatively light on some of the science fiction content that you might be looking for. From The Female Man to Man Plus by Frederik Pohl, copyright 1976, which is set in a world where global war is looming and the United States of America is one of the last bastions of freedom and democracy, and they are attempting to colonize Mars, to put the first people on Mars and establish a base of operations. But whereas most science fiction novels will see humanity terraforming another planet like Mars so that humans can live there conveniently, Man Plus sees the US trying to surgically alter humans so that they can survive on the surface of the Red Planet. So we follow a character here who is part of this Man Plus program. He's the first one to be undergoing this really extreme surgery and body modification and psychological conditioning to allow him to survive on Mars. This involves replacing his limbs with mechanical ones, stripping out some of his vital organs, replacing his entire skin with a synthetic one. And so in the end, he becomes something that doesn't resemble a human being at all, with some people referring to him as the monster. At the same time, he has this complicated relationship with his wife, which is a little bit rocky to begin with, but then since he is being changed into something that is kind of beyond human and he's going to be sent off to Mars for an extended period of time, that really tests their relationship in a way that I think was fairly well done, fairly nuanced, and at times quite subtle, with some characters that were quite well drawn and complex. So yeah, I think the book probably lingers on the creation of this altered human for a little bit too long, although it's a relatively short novel. The pacing felt a little bit slow to me, although the actual surgical procedures themselves were described in a way that actually disturbed me a fair bit, and so it did have some kind of impact. There's also something else going on that I won't spoil, which I found to be quite unexpected, and it does something that I really like in science fiction, where the ending blows the scope completely out of the water and opens up a whole new world of possibilities. Both of these books are part of the Science Fiction, the 100 Best Novels list that I'm currently reading through by David Pringle. And in this book, he says that Frederik Pohl took a break of about 10 years before writing Man Plus. And Pringle says that he thinks that Man Plus is superior to Frederik Pohl's more acclaimed work, Gateway, which I disagree with, but I still enjoyed this a fair bit. So that's everything for today. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see me making my way through the 100 best science fiction books list. In a couple of weeks' time, I'm going to do a tier ranking video where I rank every single science fiction book that I've read this year. At the moment, that's looking to be somewhere around the 70 books mark, so it's going to be a big video. Thank you very much for watching, liking, and subscribing, and I'll see you on the next one.